In today's video, my parents and I will be using their Wood-Mizer to sawmill a trailer load of post and beam timbers from pine logs at their property near Goldendale, Washington. This is part of an ongoing project I'm working on to redo the foundation of my post and pier cabin that was built in the 1970s. So far, I've replaced the rotten rear sill beams using custom hemlock material I made with my chainsaw. Now that those beams are set, it's time to mill the remainder of the material I'll need for the underside of the cabin. And my parents returned to the Pacific Northwest just in time to help me out with this huge step in the project. So this week I'll be giving my Alaskan mill a break and working with the big Wood-Mizer to make quick work of the milling process. This is a long video with a lot going on, so let's just get right into it. Thanks for watching. Good morning everyone, it's milling day and we're gonna start off by loading my truck with tools that we're gonna need, but we gotta drive over to the barn to do that. Here comes Tim.
Do you want the tractor back there?
Yeah. Just set that can on the ground to fill up that water can before we fill the big machine. So this is for cooling the blades on the mill?
Yes, there's a water tank and we put some dish soap in it, which helps with the pitch on the blade.
Mom's going to get the forks. It's like a forklift attachment for the bucket of the front of the tractor. We'll use that, you'll see. Okay, so we got to do a few things before we get started here. One of those being changing the blade. Did you already loosen it?
Yeah. And this blade can be sharpened because I haven't hit any metal with it or anything. Something that took me a while to learn how to do is how to fold these up. And it's kind of weird. You kind of got to grab them like this. I haven't done it in a while, but I find it best to get it against something. I like to put a zip tie on them to hold them together. That's easy to do when you know how.
So is this a brand new one or one that was?
This is brand new.
Okay.
That's how they come from Wood-Mizer, with that metal thing on it.
This ring on it.
You can always kind of monitor your blade tension by the gauge here. And we find that it works a lot better when it's in the yellow or the orange. And once we start running, we're gonna have to tension it because as soon as it runs, it's gonna stretch a little bit. Somewhere in there. When I first got it, it wasn't running right, so I bought a rebuild kit for the carburetor, and it was like $60 for the rebuild kit. Rebuilt it, went through it, it ran great, started running crappy again, and it doesn't have many hours on it, so I took it off, I cleaned it, put it back on, it still wasn't running right. Bought a carburetor on Amazon, a Chinese aftermarket carburetor, pretty much the same thing. But then when I'd go to kick it in gear and it gives it throttle, it would bog out. So I took the main jet out of the old carburetor and put it in the new carburetor. It's a little bit bigger because jets are specific to application. It seems to be doing good. We'll see. I've milled one log with it so far.
We got all kinds of material to work with. We've got old beams that were milled a long time ago that were never used. And then we got round logs that Tim's gonna move around. We got big piles. So I may be using a bunch of old material that's already dried and warped, and we're gonna re-mill it so that it's flat. And then once we go through all that, get into some of these logs, a mixture of all that stuff.
twisted on this end, we'll probably get a good 8-footer out of it, and the cracks won't hurt them. If we need to put them on the mill and change them. Okay, let's, yeah, it's a little lame there, buddy. This one looks really quite a bit. I don't know, I might have made him that, because that's 7 5/8. That's about what a 2x8 is.
Yeah. Do you remember how long ago you did these?
Last year.
Super smooth.
Nice and smooth.
Oh my gosh. Status update on what we got so far. We've got 9 beams on the trailer, 3 more that are ready to load, and then we've got a couple more of those old beams over there, some longer ones. So everything that we've done so far is old material that we're re-milling into usable stuff for my current project. So I already got almost half of what I need, and we haven't even gotten into any fresh round logs yet. That's a big one.
Nice beam. It's 14 inches exactly.
Wow.
You get 4 out of that.
It's really hard to get it exactly the same when you're cutting it in half, so we're going to cut it as close as we can get it in half, then lay those cut sides down, and then cut them again back So if you cut it in half, you're gonna have two kind of crappy beams.
Because it's got a lot of wane right here.
So we're gonna cut just one out of the middle.
Yeah, cut
Okay.
one out of there.
Okay, it's been a while since I've done this. Don't judge me. I might not be as sensitive as Tim.
Someday you'll be able to do it like the big boys do it.
All right, we're back at the barn and the house area here. Our plan now is to take all those beams that we just milled, cut them into the 8-foot lengths that I need, and then we'll see what remains after that. Tally up the lineal feet that I can use for posts, and then we'll go back down there and I'll have an accurate measure of what I still need.
A fence for a garden last year. So I can just put
This is 7 inches.
Oh, we probably want to lay it the other way. It's only 5.5 this way, right?
This is 6 1/4 would be good. This thing's crazy. Okay, so this side of that right here. It's so freaking giant. I can barely see over this thing.
Is it too tall on the sawhorse?
Yeah. It needs to be like
Yeah. Wonder if we put it on here. Put it here.
This needs to lift up here.
One.
23 more to go.
We did it the tall way.
square.
Looks good down here.
Whole thing's pretty good.
Looks good.
This should be 8 feet too. About 3.5 feet of post.
Mark it, you cut it, and after you cut that off, then we can spin it around.
This goes in the truck. Not out of there.
Perfect.
Ready?
Ready?
Just gonna drop it. This would have been so much work at the cabin.
By yourself. You know I'm not muscle woman. Like these. I did mine like that too.
All right, here we are the next morning. It's day 2 of doing this milling, and we're gonna take this trailer load back down to the mill and make some more stuff.
Road's all dusty. Needs some rain.
So last night Tim covered up the sawmill and looks like he put a log on there. I didn't even know that. Does this come off too?
No.
All right, here we go with our first full-size log.
So it looked like it's still cut pretty straight, it looks like. But I could see it was kind of pulling down. You could see the blade was not doing what it's supposed to do.
Now that we hit that screw, this blade is toast, so we gotta switch blades?
Yeah, 2 screws.
Oh, 2 screws, yeah.
This way?
I wanted to look at this blade, see if I could see what it did to it.
Doesn't look terrible.
Well, it's got some teeth probably knocked off of it. There's, the tips are kind of going off them. They're real shiny.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this one here. Since it's a new blade, they might be able to sharpen it possibly.
Doesn't take much to ruin one.
It was weird how you heard each one. It was like zip, zip.
Yeah. You guys have a metal detector?
We do. You want to have it even with the back of the wheel. Okay, that looks pretty good.
Tighten it.
Yeah, go ahead. Snug it up.
So there's a rubber belt right here.
Yeah, it's a B52 belt. And when those get worn out, it won't cut right either. So there's 3 board foot per lineal foot of 6x6. Right here's a scale. A 6x6, 6 feet long, is 18 feet. So that's 3 board feet per lineal foot. Board foot is 12 inches by 12 inches by 1 inch. It's 144 cubic inches is a board foot. If you're buying lumber by the board foot, 2x6 is 1 board foot for a lineal foot. So a lot of people charge $1 a board foot for lumber, for milled lumber.
Milled lumber.
So that means at $1 a board foot, an 8-foot 2x6 would cost you $8, which you can buy cheaper at Home Depot than that.
I see.
It's hard to compete with big mills for dimensional lumber. You know, if you're milling your own stuff, it doesn't matter. Okay, well, let's hope there's no more screws in this thing.
just lift it up and I'll put my foot on this.
The wrong way.
Yeah. Something's happening.
Maybe I should take the shim out.
The shim.
She's a beautiful cut.
Careful. That was a small piece and there was nothing holding it back. It just
And it was still sticky, right?
something about it, yeah.
Yeah, see all this though? This is pitch, I think.
Oh,
That dark in there.
yeah.
Look at how pretty that is though. The center. Out.
Hey. How you doing?
Spin cycle.
Ready?
I mean, we could go this way a little bit for a post.
Because that
So you want to just clean up that end?
because this is
Oh, wait, there's some weight.
this is 2 feet there. Feet down there. Or this is 8 feet right here.
Like 23 and a half inches.
Cut her down to size.
Feet are cut up.
Ready?
Right.
Going up the middle of this thing. So I go.
One more left after this, Diego.
It just hit me that these logs are the green ones.
Yeah.
This is the actual log that we milled today.
Yeah.
Whereas all the other ones,
Or beans.
they've been drying for a year.
I mean, the tree's been down too, but it holds moisture.
Or there will be one on top of this. Ready? Just let it drop. That's alright. It's like a wane. And there was a knot right on the end. Now strap. This is higher.
Yep.
I guess before we strap that, we could figure out all this other stuff. Good.
I will in between while you're stacking or something.
Good. 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 Good.
I just get rid of this piece?
Ready? Ready?
Looks like. Just gonna put it over by the fire pit. Should we load the concrete mixer in your truck?
Perfect material for the fire pit. Alright, we just got things covered up. Tim loaded the next log onto the mill. We found some nails in this one, so those are going to have to be removed before this one gets milled.
We found a spike in a log and we pulled it out, and then we milled down another 3-4 inches and hit another one that was in the log to where it had grown clear over it for years.
Yeah,
So
jeez.
when you have spikes in trees, it can be a real problem. And this was way up the tree. That was the stump down there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was up in the air 10 feet, whatever that was.
Under normal driving conditions, the trip back to the cabin would be about 2.5 hours, but I'm gonna go slow because I got this big load.
Just be sure the tires don't slide when you hit the brakes.
Okay.
I think it's probably about right.
Okay.
You see where the up down buttons are?
Yeah. Been a while since I drove a manual or a big truck like this. It's a lot different than the Frontier. finally made it off the highway and into the trees. Everything back here still looks good. All the straps are still tight. And now to make it to the cabin, we got a long, windy uphill to go. Gotta make a pit stop up here. The conditions are just too epic today. Hard to beat this. I've been up here lots of times, but this is pretty epic today. Of all the things that can go wrong when you're pulling a heavy load like this, you got trailer brakes, you got hitch hookup, all that stuff. Everything is going to plan so far. I've avoided disaster. That's a good thing. All right, everybody, now let's take a look at the inventory that's currently inside the garage that I made in this video. There's some other stuff over here that we're going to ignore that was made in the past. These three were made in the past, but everything else was made in this video. Hey, there's Mia. I was going to get footage of myself going over what I'm about to go over the day that I dropped this off, but I was just so tired and I was just focused on getting the job done. But now I'm here several days later and Mia is here with me at the cabin. The whole time I was filming the video that you just watched, she was with Julia. So all of these beams right here measure 6 inches this way and then 7 inches this way, and they're 8 feet lengthwise. These 4 right here, the only ones that are different, I marked those as 6 5/8. I set these aside. These are the first ones I'm going to use so that I can get rid of them first. They're 4. There's going to be 4 beams in a row underneath the cabin, so that's why I set those off to the side away from all these other ones. These 2 right here on the top make 26 total. I should only need 24 to be exact, but I got a few extra just in case. And then all this 2x material that we made here, I think I'm going to use these in place of metal fasteners. I could go into detail on that, but you guys will just see what I'll do in the future. But that's what the 2x material is for, and I've got a lot of it, so I'll probably end up having extras. This stack of thinner stuff right here I chose specifically because I think it's going to work really well as shims, because I may end up needing that in several places during this project, because some of these beams, we got it real flat on the top and the bottom, which is fantastic. That's the most important thing because it's going to be underneath the cabin, and the whole objective is to get the cabin really nice and level. So flat top, flat bottom. But some of the sides on these are a little bit trapezoidish, so I'll use the shims to just make things better. Again, you guys will see that in the future. And then all this stuff over here is the same dimensions as these. That is what I will use for post material. So those are all random lengths, but that's okay because each post has to be cut to a custom length because the ground underneath the cabin is on level. What do you think, Mia? We got a lot of work ahead of us, girl. That's gonna be a lot of work underneath the cabin. You up for it? You gonna help me? You gonna help me? Just gonna play with sticks the whole time. Now you know all that information about the material that's in the garage. Let's jump back to where we left off in the video.
Through here and just swing so you miss that tree, that oak tree. Thing still needs grease. The work's only just begun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I have a lot more work left to go at the cabin, but a huge step in the process of getting this new foundation job done was milling all the beams, which I was initially going to try with the chainsaw, but obviously you see that they have a bandsaw mill, which makes things much quicker. It's much more expensive. How much did that cost you, if you don't mind?
I paid $20,000 for it used, but it's in really good shape.
Yeah. And that's a lifetime of hard work and savings. These guys built everything that you saw in this video, the house, this barn, everything they built by themselves. And it's not just like, oh yeah, we built our own house, you know, we hired the designer. No, they designed it, they milled the wood, they installed the insulation, the plumbing, the electrical, like they built the house, and they built the house that they lived in before that.
Did
the excavation, installed the septic system. These are true DIYers. So a lot of people wonder where I learned the things that I know from, and it's from these two.
And a lot of learning on your own.
Yeah. They taught me the basics, and then I took it from there, and a lot of trial and error, as you guys see.
Not to be afraid to try things.
Yeah.
You don't know how to do it, you just got to learn how to do it, because nobody knew how to do it before they knew how to do it.
Yeah. Last time I made a video with them was when we put the snow guards on the roof over there. And a lot of people said like, wow, that house is amazing, it's beautiful, and their property is amazing. And if you would like to see it in person, you can actually stay there at the Airbnb, and I will share the link to the Airbnb listing. Is it also on another one, or just Airbnb?
It's on Vrbo as well. And there are two. There's the lodge, Ridgeline Retreat Lodge, and Ridgeline Guesthouse. The lodge is the main part of the house, and the guest house is the smaller portion. You can rent them separately or together.
This is a lot of what they do, is they've bought and sold properties. Some of you may know they have a place in Hawaii. There's a lot of reasons for me doing the things that I do, but they are in Hawaii for a large chunk of the year. So despite the fact that their bandsaw mill is only a couple hours away, they're not here all the time. So when they're not here, I'm doing my chainsaw milling at the cabin. But now they're back in Washington, so we could link up and make this video, use their Wood-Mizer. But like I said, they have that place in Hawaii. They also rent that out. So if you guys have seen the Hawaii videos that we've made together, I might as well just put a link to those listings that they have, so you can check all those out. So if you guys are in Hawaii, taking a trip to the big island of Hawaii, they have a place there. And then they have this property just outside of Goldendale, Washington. It's about 10 miles outside of
14 miles.
14 miles outside of Goldendale.
So this is in the Columbia Gorge, which is real nice. Get away from Portland or Seattle. A lot of times when it's rainy there, it'll be nice here.
And you guys saw the footage of me making the drive. It's an awesome drive, all different types of landscapes. It's really, really beautiful area to check out. All right, that's a wrap for this one. It was a big one. It's probably going to take me multiple weeks to edit, so that's why if I didn't have a video last week, it's because it took me a long time to get through all this footage. Hopefully it was worth the wait, and I appreciate you guys checking it out, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.